Earlier this month, 2 weeks ago, as of the day this video is being published, the White House disclosed that classified documents had been found among President Biden's files at the Penn Biden Center in Washington, D.C., and at Biden's home in Wilmington, Delaware. Since classified documents were also found in the possession of former President Trump last year, the news has triggered the latest round of everybody's favorite partisan party game. What about? As in, oh, you Democrats don't seem too upset about Biden having classified documents he wasn't supposed to have. What about the way you carried on when Trump did the same thing? Back in September, I did a video about the documents Trump stole, and since this Biden story broke, I've gotten a few stray comments on it from people who are like, "Oh, where's your video about Biden's documents? There isn't one? Didn't think so." You'll have to take my word for it that I got those comments, since I deleted them and banned the people who left them, which is what I always do to trolls and sea lions. Just my way of keeping things tidy around here. But to answer their question, where's my video about Biden's documents? It's right here, motherfucker. And to answer that earlier question, why aren't Democrats as upset about Biden's documents as we were about Trump's? Because at this point, what Biden did and what Trump did look like very different things. Now, before I go on, I want to stress a couple of very important points. First, the situation with Biden's classified documents showing up where they weren't supposed to be is currently being investigated by the Justice Department. 3 days after the White House publicly disclosed the discovery of the documents, Attorney General Merrick Garland appointed a special counsel, Robert Hur, former U.S. Attorney for the District of Maryland, to lead the investigation. So, until that investigation is completed and its results are released to the public, we don't know for sure how those documents got where they were found or whether Biden's involvement constitutes any wrongdoing on his part. But the investigation is a good and necessary step. Which brings me to my second point. If Joe Biden did do something wrong here, as a Democrat and an American, I want to know about it. Just because I voted for Biden and think he's been doing a not bad job as president so far, with some glaring exceptions, cough, cough, immigration policy, doesn't mean I think he should be allowed to do whatever he wants, or should be shielded from consequences if he is found to have done something wrong. So, both Biden and Trump were found to have in their personal possession classified government documents that they weren't supposed to have. That is true. But that is more or less where the similarities end. Let's run down the list. Trump took 15 boxes of classified documents with him when he left the White House at the end of his term in January 2021, when the National Archives and Records Administration, the government agency charged with safeguarding presidential records, found out about this. They asked for the documents back because Trump wasn't allowed to take them because they didn't belong to him. The National Archives negotiated with Trump through his attorneys to return the documents, but Trump never returned them. In May of 2022, the Justice Department subpoenaed Trump to return all the classified documents. In June, a team of FBI agents went to Trump's home at Mar-a-Lago and retrieved a small number of documents from Trump's lawyers, who claimed they had searched the premises and were turning over all documents relevant to the subpoena. Later that month, the Justice Department subpoenaed surveillance footage from Mar-a-Lago and found evidence that Trump's people were moving documents around and taking steps to hide them should investigators come looking for them. In August, the FBI executed a search warrant at Mar-a-Lago and seized 13,000 documents totaling nearly 22,000 pages, a haul which after being examined and sorted, was found to include 184 classified documents, including 67 marked confidential, 92 marked secret, and 25 marked top secret. The search also recovered dozens of folders marked classified, but the documents they were supposed to contain were missing. In response, Trump cried victim, accused the FBI and the Biden administration of persecuting him and carrying on the witch hunt that he's been on about for years, and insisted, falsely, that he would have been happy to give back the documents if he'd only just been asked. He also claimed that actually he had declassified all those documents, so it was okay for him to have them, which is a lie. There's no evidence he ever declassified any of them, and according to the law, if the documents are still marked as classified, they must be treated as classified. And B, even if he had declassified the documents, he still wasn't allowed to have them. They don't belong to him, they belong to the government. That's a very general summary of what we know so far based on statements from the FBI and public court filings. The investigation into Trump's handling of classified documents is still ongoing, and as recently as last month, there was still concern that Trump might have even more classified documents in his possession that haven't been seized or turned over. As for Biden, this past November, while cleaning out Biden's office at the Penn Biden Center, a think tank affiliated with the University of Pennsylvania, where Biden worked after leaving office as vice president, some of his personal attorneys discovered classified documents that dated back to his time as vice president, some of which were marked top secret. Biden's attorneys contacted the National Archives immediately and arranged for the documents to be turned over, which they were the next day. Additional searches were conducted of Biden's other offices as well as his residences, and in December and earlier this month, more documents were found and, again, immediately turned over to the National Archives. In total, about 20 classified documents were found at the Penn Biden Center and Biden's Wilmington home. On January 9th, the White House disclosed the discovery of the documents to the public. Biden and his team are fully cooperating with the ongoing investigation into the handling of the documents. To recap, Trump stole hundreds of documents from the White House, lied about having them, lied about giving them back, lied about declassifying them, which wouldn't have allowed him to have them anyway, attempted to obstruct the National Archives and the FBI in retrieving them, had classified folders with missing documents, and may still have some classified documents even now. Biden had about 20 documents, which his people found and immediately turned over. The fact that he had the documents was publicly disclosed by his administration, and he and his team are cooperating with the ongoing investigation. Do you see how these two things are not the same? I'm not trying to let Biden off the hook for having those documents. He shouldn't have had them. It seems he was at the very least irresponsible in his handling of them, which is not a good thing. But do you see how these two things are not the same? A bunch of Republicans have insisted that they're the same and have been beating their chests over it for the last couple of weeks. Conservatives from Ted Cruz, Lauren Boebert, Sean Hannity to Trump himself have demanded to know why the FBI hasn't been raiding Biden's homes like it raided Mar-a-Lago. Trump even suggested in a post on Truth Social that the White House be raided. The FBI has no reason to raid Biden's homes because Biden's people are cooperating with the investigation. They found the documents. They turned them over. The reason Trump's place was raided was because he refused to give the documents back after being asked repeatedly for over a year and a half. And the FBI wouldn't raid the White House looking for classified documents, since the White House is a place where, one would imagine, classified documents are allowed to be, because the White House is a government facility. I know Trump seemed to think that it and everything in it belonged to him personally, but Biden does not appear to be under the same delusion. There were also some Republican members of Congress who demanded that Biden turn over the visitor logs from his home in Wilmington, where some of the documents were found. Only there aren't visitor logs because that's his house. It's not the White House or a resort where he also happens to live. It's his house. Do you have people sign the guest book when they come to your house? The thing is, I think most people, if not all of the people making these demands, know that they don't actually have a leg to stand on. They know that what Biden did, or seems to have done, given what we know at this point, is not remotely the same as what we know Trump did, and certainly not what Trump may have done beyond that. The documents missing from those empty folders had to go somewhere, after all. But the right-wingers who are calling for unnecessary raids and promising to conduct their own investigations are doing so because there's nothing else they can do. The Republican Party and the broader conservative movement, especially the parts of it that are represented and animated by Donald Trump, is fueled by grievance and resentment and demagoguery. It's a reactionary movement, not an intellectual one. They don't have plans. They have an ever-growing list of things for their base to get angry about or be afraid of. And they have the game of whatabout, which is meant to stir up outrage over the hypocrisy or supposed hypocrisy of Democrats and progressives, while the hypocrisy of Republicans and conservatives is denied and ignored. It seems like, if you care about hypocrisy on the part of elected officials, you should care about it no matter if the elected official in question is on your side or not. To only get angry about the hypocrisy of your political opponents while downplaying or disregarding the hypocrisy of your political allies seems itself to be, what's the word? Inconsistent. One might even call it an example of a self-serving double standard. Basically, Trump is a guy who shoplifted a few $1,000s worth of merchandise from Best Buy, set off the alarm on his way out, was warned to stop and come back several times, and finally had to be tackled by security in the parking lot. Biden is a guy who walked out with one item he forgot to pay for, didn't set off the alarm, but returned it anyway after he realized he had it. That's why Biden should get a disapproving head shake and be more careful next time, and Trump deserves to be in fucking prison. Does Best Buy even exist anymore? I haven't set foot in one for years. I shop for my electronics online these days. But that wouldn't make sense for this bit. It's harder to steal from Amazon. Unless you mean the company stealing labor from its employees, which, yes, it does. The bit still works.